Joe Stapp. I'm training officer. My dad was a volunteer in the little town that I grew up in Maryland. My grandfather was chief of department and he was an instructor for the state of Maryland. And it was just the natural progression. You know, when you turn 16, you join the fire department. It was the country club for us poor people. That's what my dad said, it's a country club for the poor people. I got in the first week in July. By the end of July, I was in my first structure fire. Yeah, very little training, but we were off school and we had a guy come over and worked for the Corps engineers that drove, and all the high school kids piled on the truck, and I'm up in an attic at an attic fire in an old farmhouse. I was scared to death. I didn't know what to do. I was just following the guy in front of me. At first, when I got out of high school, I was a carpenter, and I got in the carpenter's local. And I realized that I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. So the work dried up and didn't have any work. Okay, I got to do something, so I went to college. Went to community college and took fire protection engineering. And really liked that. And as soon as I got done, I got in the fire department at Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. We had a couple fires on the USS Kennedy. And that's an eye-opener. Hot, very, very hot, because you can't ventilate. You just go in and do what you got to do and follow the line of sailors that have passed out, that have fallen down. You just keep going, because they didn't have turnout gear. The shipyard's on the closure list, so I didn't want to move at the time. So I got a job in Newcastle County as a career person in a volunteer house. And I did that for a few years until I got my paramedic. And then once I got my medic, I went to Cecil County and worked on a medic unit. I was there for 5 or 6 years and I had to code my dad. No matter how good you are, sometimes it just doesn't work. And we got him back, got him to the hospital, and then he died in ICU. I never wanted to be a paramedic again. I didn't tell that story very much. When I went to Delaware and started going to Delaware State Fire School, first class, we're sitting in the room and all the instructors line up in the back. And the guy that is now the director of Delaware State Fire School was talking, and he said, "See those people in the back? They're the best and the brightest in the state of Delaware. Will you be one of those ones standing there one day?" So that was my first goal, was I want to become an instructor. So I worked hard and I got to do that and started teaching for Delaware State Fire School. Did that for quite a few years. Got an opportunity to teach for a company called Command School. They purchased Abbottville when Don Abbott retired, and I traveled around the eastern half of the country and taught with Abbottville. I got hired as the deputy chief of training for Rogers. So packed the family up and moved out to the middle of the country. I probably wasn't ready for it. I learned a lot being a chief, and it was different. It was kind of a culture shock from the East Coast to the middle of the country. East Coast a little more, brazen up front, tell you what you think, and you didn't get upset when somebody said something to you. Down there they did. I wanted to move back closer to my mom because she was back there by herself. And this job I saw opened up, and I wasn't going to put in for it because it's no closer to Maryland than where I was. And a buddy of mine, he was the training chief in Bentonville, he says, "Well, you should put in for it." And I said, Well, it's no closer. He says, you don't have to take it. He said, go and, interview and all that. If you don't want it, don't take it. And I said, you're right. So I put in for it. And the whole family, we all come up the day of my interview, and we were going to look around and everything, look at houses. And I saw Gary Wilson. I knew him when he was in charge of Missouri's fire rescue training. And he was walking down the hall, and I said, Gary, what are you doing here? And he says, I'm the training chief here. And I was like, really? That made me want to come here. And then the more he told me about the department, I really wanted to come here. One of my goals that I'd set for myself was I wanted to be the training officer in a metro department that was growing, getting bigger, had some runs, and you had it all. When I started, the training officers were segregated. So I was the fire training officer, and we had an ALS training officer and a BLS training officer. And every day working with Buck was an adventure. He just a great guy, knew the city inside and out, had been here, since the horse-drawn carriages. And but it was fun working with Buck. Learned a lot about the city and about how the fire department worked and how we got to where we are. I guess we couldn't keep an ALS training officer there until Brad got there. And then after Brad, John took it, and it was good. I got to focus on fire, and that's what I liked. And I hope that I did a service to the guys that are here. Ran the fire academies. After Buck left, he was always in charge until he retired. And then it fell on me, and so we did our best. I like that. I like watching these guys. My very first academy here was Brian Salmon, Kurt Nice, and Angela. So Kurt's now a captain over in Leawood in the prevention division. Brian's a captain here, and Angela's a training officer.
This is somebody that you spend a third of your life with. We're not out here messing around. Get back in there. Get this guy out of there. What do? I want you to turn that fan into that door and then put your face piece on.
I've mellowed in my old age. I used to yell a lot more. I don't yell so much anymore. Get older and you get wiser, I hope. But I think that they get a lot out of it. They learn what they need to do here. And they come in as firefighter 1 and 2, so we don't have to teach them that. We just have to teach them how OP does it. And we tell them that up front. There's many ways to do things, but this is the way OP does it, and this is the way that you're going to do it. High speed, low drag. That was a kid that was coming through the interview process and described us like that, and I think he was right on. You've got to be very proficient at what you're doing when you're doing it so often and so much. You can't take your time and sit down. You've got to work from just muscle memory and instinct and just go. And I think our guys do that very well. My son is dying to come out here and get hired on OP. So he's getting his training back in Delaware, where it's free, thank goodness. And as soon as he's done, he wants to come out here and work for OP. Yes, you'll have another Stapp on the department, I hope. He's not as bad as I am. He'll be good. He's a lot quieter than I am. I've been here 13 and a half years. I figured I'd finish my career here, but it didn't work out that way. And, seen a lot of change. People retiring, moving on. We're all getting older. A lot of the old guys that I knew really well were gone now, and so I guess it was my time to join them. Two people that have definitely influenced my career here. Buck, like I said, working with Buck, every day was an adventure. and it was fun to come to work, and you know, you never knew what was going to happen with him. The other one was Gary. As soon as I got out of my interview down there, I called Gary and told him and thanked him because I learned so much working for Gary. And I hope that I can take that knowledge that I got from him and go down there and be a better training chief than what I was the first time. I just want to say thank you. OP has been, it was a breath of fresh air. It was a lot like the department that I was in back in Delaware, the camaraderie, the people. You know, as soon as I got here, there was a few bumps in the road, but it smoothed out, and I felt like I belonged here. It's a big family. You know, they say that when you come in, welcome to the OPFD family, and it really is. And I've seen it time and time again with things that they've done for people that, yes, they're members of the department, but it was things going on in their life and how the department would come together and take care of them, and you take care of your own. And it is a big family, and it was really, really nice to be part of that. You know, you grow up just outside of Philly, and you just talk like that. I'll come back and visit. I got to come up and get bourbon up here, and then I'll go back there and bring Yingling with me. That's what my dad said. It's a country club for the poor people. Come to the party on the 13th.